All right, so in this episode of From the Syllabus, we are going to be discussing tweeting in class. And I'm going to be sharing with you over the next several videos how I have used Twitter in my courses throughout the academic year. So here's what I did in terms of using Twitter. First of all, students were able to tweet during class. They could live tweet what was happening. Now, I regulated this to some extent. So what I did was I had students sign up for particular segments of class. So we use a wiki in our class, and on that wiki, I break down everything we're going to be doing that day into sections and give a little overview or hot links or any kind of information that students need. So for example, we have a reoccurring activity every class for the most part called Question of the Day. And you would see on the wiki where there would be a heading, Question of the Day, and then underneath that, class tweeter, and then a space for a student to put their name. And I could put one or up to four sometimes slots for students to sign up to be a class tweeter, and it was first come, first serve. At the beginning of the semester, I told students to just sign up to be a class tweeter once during class. And that was to give lots of students opportunities to sign up and try it out and see what they thought. But by the time we got to the middle of the semester, students were kind of, had made decisions about if they were going to be a class tweeter or not. And so I changed it and said, sign up before you come to class. Once you come to class, if there's any open slots, when class starts, they're free to grab. You can pick up extra slots and you can get extra points that way. So students tweeted during a self-selected segment of class. And they were told, to be tweeting about what was going on in class, relevant pieces of information. But I did not tell them how much to tweet, right? So Question of the Day would typically last maybe 30 minutes. But we could have sections that lasted 15 minutes or sections that lasted 45 minutes. And so what I did not want to do is I didn't want to get into telling students, if you're tweeting for a Question of the Day, you must have at least 10 tweets, right? That takes away from the purpose of Twitter. Now if I did that, then I would have students thinking in their heads, oh my gosh, how many times have I tweeted? I've only tweeted 5 times. I need to hurry up and tweet 5 more. And then it becomes a numbers game. And I'd rather have 5 really good engagements over a half-hour period than 10 forced ones where it's just about meeting a number and moving on. So what I didn't do, I didn't regulate how often to tweet. I told them to find the balance. And I really think that most students were able to figure this out on their own. I said there's a balance between you're tweeting so much that you're really not paying attention to what's going on in class. But then there's also you're just tweeting very little and you're engaged with class, but you're not engaged with the aspect of the tweeting during class. So I didn't regulate it. I just asked them to regulate themselves. It seemed to work fine. I did not check tweets for grammar. I did not grade based on how students interacted with each other, I'm not looking to see if you're having conversations within Twitter about tweets. I didn't do that. I didn't get that fine-grained. I didn't say that content had to be original. I didn't say things like you must do X number of retweets. It could be all retweets or all original tweets or a combination. It didn't matter. All I had to do was be focused on the class and relevant to what we were doing at the time in which students were tweeting. And that worked fine. I can spot check and see if what you did worked, and that was not a problem to keep up with. Now, what happened? So most students in the class have tried live tweeting during class once or twice. I would say about 25% of the class engaged with it regularly, meaning that that core group did it once or more per session. They were actively on Twitter. This was not something that I required my students to do. I gave my students several options, and Twitter was an option that they could engage in to get their grade. So if they didn't like it, if they tried it, they didn't like it, they didn't have to do it. They could do something else. The students that were on there tweeting, they often found resources that really enhanced the class. There's a ton of knowledge out there, and I cannot find it all, and I shouldn't be trying to find it all, right? So my students were able to bring in a lot of pieces of information to help bring different perspectives, to help us understand things more deeply. That was really, really key to the class. And we used the content that they found. I used it. I referenced it. Other students referenced it as it made sense. It worked really, really well. I can't say enough really good things about it, but of course it depends on your students wanting to do this. I don't know that I would require it. I like having it as an option, and seeing what happens, right? If students don't want to do it, I don't know that this is something that I'd want to force them to do, because I think it's just not going to work if you try to force it. All right, so if you want to talk to me more about tweeting in class, or anything related to teaching in higher ed, my Gmail account is up there for you, leahhall39@gmail.com. You can also find my blog, Confessions of a Bored Academic, at leahhall.wordpress.com. And next time, we're going to talk about how I have students tweeting between class sessions.